have not joined us before, I'm Amy Thomas from The Video Lady, and I created this channel to give women the tools they need to create, edit, and market their videos. So I had actually really hoped to do a behind the scenes kind of video today, but my tech wasn't cooperating. So for the purposes of this live, I took pictures of my setup, which I'm going to share with you today. But I am going to also post an edited version of this video in a couple of weeks where I can actually show you the results of filming those multiple cameras together and how you can change back and forth between those shots to suit your needs when you're making a video. Multi-cameras are really great for all kinds of videos. I do interviews, or I do just like talking head videos, kind of like this one. So I don't have a whole lot of need for multiple shots, although it does make it more interesting. But if you're in the cooking niche, or if you do DIY, the crafting niche, definitely a multi-camera setup is going to help you make more interesting videos, and you'll be able to do close-up shots and that kind of thing. And it will also save you time because you won't have to film and then refilm all your close-up shots. So you'll be filming both simultaneously, which saves a ton of time. And here's the thing, it does not have to be really expensive to do this. You'll need a couple of tripods, and obviously you have to have a couple of cameras, but those can be simply, borrow your hubster's phone or your daughter's phone or somebody's phone, and then you have a 2-camera setup. So it doesn't have to be, people think that they need tons of expensive equipment, but that's actually not the case. So we're going to talk about that more here in just a minute. Okay, so we are going to come over here. I have some slides that I wanted to share with you today. And I just want to talk a little bit about the setup. Before you actually start recording with a multi-camera setup, there's a few things that you're going to want to do first. And one of those is you are just going to want to use one camera for your primary audio. So when you do a multi-camera setup, you don't want to have, usually you're going to use like a lapel mic or something, but just have that lapel mic attached to one of your audio inputs, and then I don't worry about the audio on any of the others. And when you get started, then you're going to need to sync your cameras. So the way I do that for audio, so that your mouth matches the actual audio. If you're not using the audio on both cameras, then you need to sync that up. The simplest way to do that is to clap, and then you can match that clap on both cameras when you do your editing, and that's going to give you a good matched sound. And I do that before I edit anything else. The second thing that you're going to want to do is try to match your light levels on your cameras. So this could be a little more tricky, and I'm not going to get into it here, the actual like how-to of matching your light levels, because that'd be way too long for this particular video. We want to talk more about setting it up. But if you are using the same camera, then it's fairly simple. You just want to make sure that they've been white balanced the same, that you're using the same settings and all of that. If you're on a smartphone, often it automates that process, so it may be difficult sometimes to get it exactly the same. But again, if you are working with 2 cameras, you just want to try to make sure that your light levels are somewhat in sync with each other. And then when you are looking at a 2-camera setup, then you're going to just have 2 cameras. One is going to be kind of a wider shot. And I usually do it like waist up, and also so that you can kind of see the thing that you are trying to film, especially when you're doing like cooking or some kind of craft or something like that. You want to be able to see that thing. But the problem, of course, with doing that by itself is that you don't have a good close-up of what you're doing. But it does allow you, the medium shot does allow you to zoom in on your face. So the single camera with a medium shot does give you the opportunity to have at least 2 different shots in there. So sometimes when you're just trying to give a piece of information and it's not actually showing, some detailed step that you're trying to show that you'd want a close up for, then sometimes you may just want to have the camera on your face. And doing a wider angle camera from a little bit farther back gives you the option to do the farther out shot, and it also gives you the option to do kind of a closer up shot, so you kind of get a 2-for-1 in that setting. Generally speaking, when I talk about a 2-camera setup and I am shooting one wide angle, and I do a lot of this stuff just with my phone still, but my iPhone 11 does shoot in 4K. So I will go ahead and shoot in 4K, because then when I zoom in, I can be pretty sure that I'm not going to lose a bunch of resolution there. And so when I upload everything, even if it's only 1080p that I'm using in the final, I know I've got a pretty good resolution on that wider angle camera. And then the second camera is actually going to be your close-up camera. So you're going to put that close-up camera in. You don't want it to show up in your wide angle shots. So sometimes you have to play around with that a little bit. But your close-up camera will be your second camera, and it will just film the close-ups. So this is kind of a little picture here of what I had set up earlier today. You can see I have my regular wide angle camera here, and it's kind of a straight on shot for this particular setup in my kitchen. And you can see over here, I have my close-up camera that is sitting on the counter here, and you can't see it in this picture, but there's a bunch of lemons that I cut up for this particular example. And here is, again, the close-up of the close-up camera with the lemons. So that is just zoomed in so that all I can see is basically my hands. And you'll notice that I was going to be standing over here on the far side where the garbage can is, kind of. And so I put my close-up camera on the other side so that it would be easier to see kind of what's really happening. I know that it's sometimes hard when you have a home studio to, make everything as beautiful as you would like. But I mean, ideally, if you could get some kind of like a camera that was maybe suspended from the ceiling, or have some kind of a setup like that, that would be really sweet. But that's obviously a bit more work and potentially a bit more money if you are working with that. But you do want to just make sure that you set this up at an angle that is going to really highlight and showcase whatever the close-up piece is that you're trying to convey to your audience, because there's just nothing more irritating than when you are watching a video and somebody does a close-up and you still can't see what they're doing because their hands are in the way, or their head is in the way. Something makes it difficult to see. So you kind of want to make sure that whatever angle you put this close-up camera at, it actually really does make it so that you can see what is going on. And then if we move to a 3-camera setup, you are going to have your wide angle camera like we talked about before. And, again, I usually have that set up to do kind of a medium-ish shot, and I do that in as high a definition as I can, 4K if I can do it. That gives me flexibility with zooming in. And then I also do another camera kind of along the same lines at a 45-degree angle. And the 45 degree is not set in stone. It doesn't have to be exactly perfectly 45 degrees because you also have to think about, you don't want it to show up in your shot and that kind of thing. But it does just give you another angle to look at the viewer so that you can choose, you don't have to look straight on at them all the time. You can come at it from the side, and it adds interest to your video. And then, of course, you have your close-up camera in a 3-camera setup as well. And then I have a couple of pictures of that too. So I put my imaginary person here in the middle. And you can see now we have our close-up camera there on the right, and then you have the camera that is kind of the main camera. And then you have off to about 45 degrees, you have the far camera that's kind of acting as our other camera at an angle. So again, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get actual footage here that I wanted to share with you, but I will go ahead and share that in a future. When I edit this video, I'll make sure to put some of that footage in there so you can kind of see how the different angles interact with each other and what that does for you as far as adding interest to your film. And that is all I had on the slides. So now if there are any questions, please feel free to post those in the comments below. And if you would like, I'd also like to offer that you could, in the description here, once this live is done, I'll be posting my 10 beginner video basics. So make sure you pick that up if you haven't done that already. That'll be available to you. And I will also be posting the information about Made Perfect in Love. So just a big question for you guys. Are you going to be making a video with multiple cameras anytime soon? Post that in the comments below here. Okay, so we do have a question here about video editing software. And I am actually really getting excited about Adobe Rush. Generally, I have been using Adobe Premiere Pro, has been my go-to. And what I've been finding is I've been trying out Rush, and it does a lot of the things that Adobe Premiere Pro would do. So like, if you were making feature films, you wouldn't want to use Adobe Rush, but for basic YouTube videos, Adobe Rush has a lot of things that I love about it. The titles on there are super easy to work with. It has a lot of filters you can use. You can add audio. You can do voiceover right in the program itself. So once you have your footage in there, you can just talk and have it record, which are all things that make it easy to use. So that's one that I recommend. I've also been hearing really good things about DaVinci Resolve. I've not used that myself, but I believe it's free. And so free is always a good thing. So that might be another one that you'd want to check out. And I understand that one's pretty easy to learn as well. And if you have any other questions, please make sure to post those in the comments below. We'll give it a few more minutes here, and I'll check my Facebook questions here as well. Make sure we're not missing anything. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any further questions, but yay, Made Perfect in Love says they're going to be filming their sublimation series from multiple angles. And now they need to learn editing. So Carolyn, make sure that you check out the other tutorial on my website about Adobe Rush. I have one there that you could follow along with. It gives you 20 minutes. You'll know everything there is to know about Adobe Rush. So check that out. Again, I am so happy to be able to share this with you all. And thank you so much for watching. And I will catch you next time. Have a good night.